Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. Great to be here with you this week on the Cabral Concept. It is our Total Wellness Tuesday episode, and today we're going to be going over the signs, the symptoms of omega-3 deficiency. So the amazing thing about our bodies is that always it is giving us signals in order to tell us if we're listening, right? If we're listening, it's telling us there is something going on. There is something wrong with the homeostasis of the body. That means the balance of the body. So it's showing us that our body is struggling to maintain balance. Now it's still there. It's still holding balance before the diseases set in, meaning the diagnosable diseases, but it's showing us ahead of time through other symptoms on our skin or maybe our mood or other areas that I'm going to talk about today that the body is becoming imbalanced. And as I've shared with you before, there are two reasons why our body becomes imbalanced. And none of those reasons have to do with genetics. Genetics is just in the background, okay? It matters, it means something, but it's not going to come to fruition if there is not a deficiency in our body. Pick any vitamin, any mineral. Omega-3s is one of those that we'll be talking about here today. Protein, fatty acids, etc. All right. So if there's no deficiency, then our body has all the raw materials that it needs in order to stay balanced and healthy. However, there's one more component, and that is toxicity or toxins. And those can be even greater than our deficiencies, right? So if we have all the nutrients we need, it still doesn't mean that we're going to be able to fight off all these toxins as well, which is why we're trying to eliminate the gut toxins if we find them there, that we're trying to cut down on the mercury, or I should say the aluminum, the fluoride, the lead, the pharmaceuticals that might be in your tap water, that we're trying not to breathe in all the pesticides maybe on a lawn that was just sprayed or on our food, right? So we're trying to do our best to eliminate our toxic load, right? And then build up our deficiencies. So as integrative health practitioners, that's how we work. We lab test at home to find what your deficiencies are, as well as your toxicities. We lower those toxicities, and then we improve your deficiencies. And lo and behold, the body becomes rebalanced again. It is not a miracle. We are not doing anything really magical at all, because really what we're doing is we're allowing the body to heal itself. We're putting the body in a position to heal, which is really what it's all about. So on today's show, we're going to be talking about a very serious issue that we see all the time in our practice, and that is both children and adults being deficient in essential fatty acids, with really one of those that we're talking about here today is omega-3s. Why is this so important? Because right now, the average American is about an 18-to-1 for omega-6s to omega-3s. That means omega-6s, they're essential. We need omega-6s. I'm going to be doing another podcast in a few weeks on this. There are just way too many people on Instagram saying that you should never get any omega-6s or anything like that. That omega-6s are actually essential for our health. They balance cell membrane dynamics and health. You can't just have all sterols from saturated fat and no softer fats like polyunsaturated fats. So if you believe that, then that means nothing will ever get in the cell or out of the cell. It's going to be blocked with a lot of what are called, general terms, harder fats, sterols, and not balanced with polyunsaturated fatty acids. But we won't get into that today. So again, I'm not a fan of omega-6s when overdone, that's for sure. And that's why on lab testing, you want to be below a 5-to-1 ratio of omega-6s to omega-3s. It's a simple test. It's one of the best tests out there. And it just tells you, is your diet providing you with too many omega-6s? Now, here's what we found in our practice, that when we work with a lot of people that are actually trying to be healthy, right? They're not the average Westerner, right? So they're not eating at McDonald's all the time. They're not eating pizza all the time. They're not eating like all these processed foods all the time. And yet they're still an 8 to a 10 to 1 in omega-6s to omega-3s, which again, we know that we want to be below a 5 to 1. And in our practice, we want you to be at a 3 to 1. Because we know that when you're at a 3 to 1, you're closer to how the human body was actually built. When we look at nature, we see all these different, mainly animals, that it's going to be more of a 3 to 1 if it's grass-fed, green-fed, etc. But besides that, if you're taking in enough omega-3s, if you're at a 9% saturation rate, you're at a 90% risk reduction rate for cardiovascular death. And this is so well proven now. Like, this is so well proven that even the pharmaceutical industry has their own omega-3 that they would be happy to charge your insurance company like $100+ a month, I'm sure, right? So again, we know these things. I just want to share with you the importance of it, but also it's so easy to rebalance your omega-3 levels. And the truth is this, that children, especially children, they're not getting enough omega-3s, but adults, it's not like they're eating a lot of these omega-3 foods that I'm going to be sharing with you as well. So that's why this is a real health issue. Okay, well, let's go over it. So again, there's a lot that I'm trying to share, and we're trying to do more and more every single month. But if you go to the StephenCabral.com website, you can take this assessment that I'm about to read to you completely free. So this is free. You don't even need to put in your own email or any email, and it will tell you what your assessment is on your omega-3s. But let me go through with it right now. And again, you can take that assessment again if you'd like your own score, or there's also about a dozen other assessments that are all completely free as well. But let's go through the omega-3. This is really important because what I want to be able to do is just share with you the signs and symptoms. And if it sounds like you, well, then you know you're probably on the track to suffer from these particular omega-3 and essential fatty acid disorders and deficiencies. So the first one is this. Do you have any skin irritation, bumps and kind of slow healing, scratches, I wouldn't say bruises, red rashes, or dryness of the skin? So dryness of the skin is a big one. One of the biggest with children, because children aren't going to have a lot of these other issues that I'm about to speak with, but they have dermatitis-based issues. They have skin issues that are kind of unexplained. Red bumps, dryness of the skin, dry patches. It can be a sign of a lack of essential fatty acids and omega-3s. All right, so that's the first one. The second one is dry eyes. So a lot of people are always putting drops and ointments and other things in their eyes, but they may want to look towards antioxidants such as lutein, zeaxanthin. They may want to look to products like Adrenal Soothe to calm stress, sympathetic nervous system stress, and omega-3s is another one as well for dry eyes. All right, this is a big one. They're not always in exact order, but low mood and depression. Omega-3s are so well researched right now that we know that they can help not a little bit, they can help dramatically with low mood and depression. The next sign and symptom is arthritis or joint pain or overall stiffness. Essential fatty acids, almost you want to think of them as like lubrication for the joints, okay? They are there to help you stay more limber, flexible, and as we'll be talking about in a moment, help with healthy levels of inflammation. Overall thinning or loss of hair. They're not the only thing, that's for sure, right? We can look at thyroid. We can look at testosterone to dihydrotestosterone conversion. We can look at estrogen levels dropping in women. But omega-3s are certainly one of the nutrients needed for strong and lustrous, shining hair. The next one is poor concentration or learning imbalances in children. So you can look towards ADD, ADHD, executive functioning disorder, and even ASD-based disorders all need typically more omega-3s. And this is something that I learned about many, many years ago when I was going through GAPS protocol-based training and all sorts of other, organic acids testing training, et cetera, that omega-3s are a huge part of that equation. And we've gotten phenomenal results with children in our practice as well with adding omega-3s. Not just that, but that's a big part of it, right? There's never one silver bullet, but this is a big part of it. Cognitive decline. So memory issues, memory loss is another sign of omega-3 deficiencies. This is one that I added to the assessment. It's not the only one. There could be a candida overgrowth issue. There could be allergies, etc. But excessive earwax production could be a sign, believe it or not, of omega-3 deficiency or essential fatty acid deficiency. Allergies, this is a big one. My allergies, besides fixing my gut, helping with my Th1, Th2 immune balance, helping with my adrenals, my allergies got better with omega-3s as well. Magnesium, adrenal base, fixing the gut, all of these things were helpful, and so were omega-3s. All right, trouble sleeping. Can't turn off the mind, racing mind, can't calm the nervous system, dealing with sleepless-based issues, maybe restless leg. This is one to look at as well. Women with PMS or menstrual cycle dysregularity. So could be any symptoms of estrogen dominance or luteal phase disorder where you're feeling more bloated or fatigued or headaches, migraines, water retention, low mood, irritability 5-7 days or so before day one of menstruation. And that is the overall beginning symptoms, and that is what the assessment goes over. So you can kind of, you can click on the assessment yourself and take it yourself. It's just at stephencabral.com/assessments, but I'll link it up. You can go to stephencabral.com, and it is episode 2104. stephencabral.com, 2104. And I'll link up all the assessments. So just the assessment page. It'll be pretty easy. But what I also wanted to share with you is that there are also greater signs that this can turn into. So these are kind of symptoms overall, the skin issues, the hair issues, the mood, all of these things for sure in children and adults. But believe it or not, if your rain barrel continues to overflow, right? So we have an overflowing rain barrel. We're starting to see the symptoms already. It doesn't get better on its own. It usually gets worse. So over a number of months or years, then it starts to lead into bigger issues. And I'm going to just read you some of those right now. The first one is arthritis, okay? Osteoarthritis, potentially autoimmune arthritis, which is rheumatoid arthritis. Cardiovascular disease, higher levels of triglycerides, higher levels of atherosclerosis or hardening of the arteries due to inflammation and, again, an imbalance in omega-6 to omega-3s. Although we talked about ADD, ADHD for children, there are many cases of adult ADD, ADHD as well, and much of this can be really helped with first functional medicine lab testing that we'll talk about, but also omega-3 supplementation. Alzheimer's disease, so beyond memory loss, right? We talked about memory loss, we talked about cognitive decline, but Alzheimer's disease as well can be implicated with lack of omega-3s. I've done a big show many shows on Alzheimer's disease, and we have an entire category now dedicated to a healthy brain. And you can find that at stephencabral.com/podcast. Just scroll through the graphics at the top, and you'll find the brain podcast now as well. Obesity. We didn't mention this one. It's not just, this is obviously obesity is multifactorial, but what happens is the more weight you gain, the more inflammation you create in your body. Omega-3s are a good way to not allow for that inflammation, unhealthy levels of inflammation to get kickstarted, but also it can help to squelch it as you're losing the weight as well. Macular degeneration. We talked about dry eyes. We talked about some issues there surrounding eyesight, but also looking at when it gets worse, okay, what can it lead to? Well, macular degeneration as well. We talked about low mood, we talked about depression, but also postpartum depression can also be linked to lack of omega-3s and essential fatty acids. This is so important because when women are bringing new life into this world, they're giving their vitamins, their minerals, their amino acids, their essential fatty acids to this baby that they are creating, right? This new life. And then their body becomes depleted of those if they are not bringing more of that back into their body. That's a big one. Rapid onset aging is another. We talked about asthma and allergies. Cancer is another one of an imbalanced levels of essential fatty acids. We spoke about low mood depression, but there's a lot more as well. I mean, there's a spectrum, right, of mental health imbalances that we're trying to help people with, and some of that is PTSD, some of that is anxiety. So we want to look at that overall in general. And excuse me, the last one I would add is fibromyalgia. We've gotten really great results with helping people to, again, rebalance their bodies, get things back in a healthy ratio, and has certainly seen a lot of great results with fibromyalgia as well. The last thing I do want to say is that it's not just about using omega-3 supplementation. I don't want that to seem like that's the cure-all, right? Magnesium is not the cure-all. Vitamin D is not the cure-all. Omega-3s are not the cure-all. Those are 3 amazing supplements. Most people need to be taking them, okay? But when we're looking at underlying root causes, we still want to figure out like, hey, what's going on? Now, for the easier thing is for this, now before you get to the rheumatoid arthritis and before you get to the macular degeneration and Alzheimer's, sure, it would be great to run the big 5. It would be great to run something like a starter kit. Okay, those would be great. But a lot of omega-6 to omega-3 issues are diet related. And you don't have to be on a bad diet. So for example, I've been eating, I think, healthy now for quite some time, right? I've put in the work, I've done the research, and I've been doing this a long time. 25 years is a long time. But I'll tell you this, when I first did my omega-3 testing, probably like 2010, what I found was that my ratio was a 6.4 to 1. I remember, to this day. And so not too far off, but certainly not where it should be. So I looked, I was like, whoa, am I taking in too many omega-6s? And the interesting thing was I wasn't. So I'm not taking in a lot of processed food, not taking in a lot of omega-6s, but here's the thing. I was not taking in a lot of EPA, which is really important to remember. So there's EPA and there's DHA for your main omega-3s. And what I realized was that I just wasn't getting enough omega-3 foods, not enough to move the needle. So when I saw that, I said, oh, well, this makes sense. I still have some residual, not a lot, but a little bit of inflammation that I could feel, a little more sore than I should be after workouts. Okay. Started using that. And again, not mega dosage. We're talking about 2 grams a day, 2 soft gels a day, 1 teaspoon a day. Not talking about a lot, just take it with dinner. It's super easy. But it made me a little bit more conscious. Okay, I need to start eating more wild fish. I was already eating things like flax seeds and chia seeds and so hemp seeds. That wasn't it. But remember, the conversion of those is fairly low. It's between 6 and 14%. So there's just not a great conversion on vegan-based omega-3s. It's not to say that you can't eat a vegan nutrition plan and live a vegan lifestyle and not be healthy here. It's just what I'm saying is you have to be more careful on a vegan diet not to take in omega-6s because it's just more challenging to get the level of omega-3s that your body would enjoy. So the first thing that you can do is you can lab test your omega-3s. And it's super simple. You can do it right at home. And we offer that over at Equalife to anyone pretty much anywhere in the world. So all labs that we offer, whether it's the Big 5, whether it's the starter kit, stress hormones, etc., you can find that at stevencabral.com/labs. So all of these come with a consultation. They'll really explain to you exactly what your lab results mean, and they'll tell you exactly where you are. Omega-3 is one of my favorite labs. I often call it the best lab that nobody knows about because it can make the biggest difference in your life, especially if cardiovascular or cholesterol or any of these things run in your family. I mean, find out what your omega-3s are. If you think you're eating the perfect diet, then good, put that to the test. That's what I did. And you just run the lab and you say, okay, are you a 3-to-1 from omega-6s to omega-3s? And if you are, phenomenal. Just keep eating that diet. If not, you're probably going to want to increase your wild fish consumption. But you also want to make sure that those fish are wild and that they're not high in mercury. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link up a podcast on the highest omega-3 fish. And I will also link up a podcast on the fish that are lowest and highest in mercury. All right. So we'll do that today. Just head on over to stevencabral.com/2104. And the last part I'll say is this, is that most people in our practice, it's part of our daily foundational protocol of products that we use, do take an omega-3. They simply take 2 soft gels at dinner or 1 at lunch and 1 at dinner of the omega-3 support, or they take 1 teaspoon of the liquid. Children are going to use the liquid because the soft gels are too large because it's the only way to get enough oil in there. So, they might do 1/3 of a teaspoon of the omega-3 liquid, right? So it's going to be less depending on how small the child is. And obviously we typically do that by weight. So up to 50 pounds, we typically do 1/3 of a teaspoon. At around 75 pounds, 80 pounds, we'll do a half a teaspoon. And then we'll just work up 100 pounds, 3/4. And then when they're over 100 pounds, a full teaspoon. So that is, again, I can't give you personal, exact recommendations, but that's exactly what we do in our practice. And it is quite effective for most people. And it honestly turns things around within 4 weeks. So I think that's pretty fantastic for one product that you can use. Again, I formulate for Equilife. It is an omega-3 that is a 2.5 to 1 ratio of EPA to DHA. And it is lab tested. So that's the nice thing. It's mercury free, sustainable fish, high omega-3s. But what's more important is that it actually works, right? So you can do before and afters in your lab and actually see that you're down then to a 3 to 1. So just wanted to share that with you. Again, you can always get it through food. You can do it with wild fish. It takes about 4 to 5 servings per week. It's not less. I just always like to share that people it's not less than doing supplementation. Most people eat wild fish a couple times a week in our practice if they can get their hands on it. And that's helpful as well. And then for anyone we work with that's vegan, we tried to increase the flax, the chia seed, some hemp, and then walnuts are a good source of omega-3s, and then seaweed as well. So algae, all of those are helpful. So again, you can always do it through food. You just have to test it. Again, you just have to make sure you're there. That's it. We don't guess, we test. There's no plain favorites. There's no hard feelings. We just make sure that you're where you should be. So this is really important. Again, this can help a lot of people with a lot of health conditions. So I do hope you share this show with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into today's show. And before you go, I want to make sure that you know we are back at Equilife with one of our most popular offers ever. For the past 3 years, we try to bring you many of our favorite products that maybe if you've never tried them before, you can get your hands on them for the great price of free. This allows a lot of people to, as I said, try out a product that maybe they're on the fence about purchasing or they've heard a lot about and they want to try it out for themselves. Well, I can tell you that most nutritional supplements are a bit prophylactic in nature, meaning that they are helping you, but you're not necessarily feeling it on a daily basis. The goal is over time, you're getting the benefits. So you're getting the benefits of keeping all of your vitamins and minerals and nutrients high while being able to detoxify on a daily basis. However, there are a few products, and activated B complex is one of them. When you take it, you actually feel the difference within hours to days maximum, and here's why. Many people are depleted of their B vitamins, and B vitamins are essential for energy, for detoxification, for their brain, memory, cognition, alleviating brain fog, and also helping to reduce stress. Plus, if you're not getting enough B complex vitamins in, you're not able to properly transform your carbohydrates into energy. So you may start to tend to gain more body weight, or you may not be able to process those carbohydrates as efficiently as energy for the mitochondria. So here's what I want you to do. Get your free bottle of activated B complex with all qualifying orders this week over at Equilife. It is a full methylated B complex. That means you're getting the B vitamins in the proper way that the body was meant to absorb them. So you're getting the methylcobalamin, the methylfolate, you're getting paradoxal 5-phosphate. So we're giving you all of your B vitamins. Plus, we are also adding in other B complex family members, such as what's called PABA and inositol, and even TMG, trimethylglycine, which helps with inflammation in the arteries, methylation for detoxification, and so much more. Again, I could go on and on about this product. Head on over to Equilife, learn more about it, and get your free bottle, which is a $30 value, completely free right now on all qualifying orders, and that includes international orders as well. Head to StephenCabral.com/Equilife for your free bottle today.